Hello and welcome to another episode of the BoU Connects podcast. Bank of Uganda joins the rest of the world to celebrate women throughout the month of March. So allow me to say, Happy Women's Month! The theme for International Women's Day this year is Rights, Justice, Action for all women and girls. And what that is calling us to do is to ensure that these rights don't just end up on paper, but they translate into real opportunities for our everyday living. My name is Pumla and I'm your host. Today, we are joined by Josephine Kimbe. She's a legal advisor and deputy director here at Bank of Uganda. And she's going to help us unpack the social and legal dimensions of women's empowerment, the challenges that still exist, and the actions we can take to build a more inclusive Uganda. Welcome to the podcast, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Pumla.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. You looked lovely too.
Oh, thank you. It's like we matched, just like we knew.
You know, actually, when I came in and saw you, I said, okay, I think I got the memo. I just didn't know I did.
Birds of a feather.
Yes,
of a feather.
Really
okay, so let's dive right into the conversation. Mm-hmm. The theme for International Women's Day this year was rights, justice, action for all women and girls.
Yes.
Now, I want to pick your legal brain, when you hear something like that.
Yes.
What does it, in simple terms, what does it mean to you? And why are we interested in that right now?
So, when I saw the theme this year, the first thing that came to mind was Chapter 4 of our Constitution.
Okay.
So, our Constitution, we look at that as our foundation. When we are looking at the laws in the land, the foundation is our Constitution.
Okay.
So in Chapter 4, they talk about the rights of Ugandans.
Okay.
And that is where you find the rights of women. Okay. Because when the Constitution came into place, they felt that there was affirmative action that was needed for women. Okay. And one of the things in that chapter also talks about the fact that these rights are inherent. So when I looked at the theme, that was the first thing that came. But then we also look at the aspect of justice. That the system in which these rights are being exercised, do we have those systems? And then the part that talks about action. What action are we taking? What is the action that we are taking to support all women and girls? Then I like the fact that they put all in capital letters. To actually look at the fact that there are women who have been supported. That we need to actually acknowledge. Right now in our judiciary, 50.9% of the judicial officers are women.
Is that so?
It is. So it is something that we applaud. Okay. However, when we go to Parliament, we were at 11%. Then we got some affirmative action. It took us to 31. And we have been in the 30s, 33, 34 to date. But now when you go to the private sector, then there you're looking at percentages of 20% in leadership positions. So the theme is acknowledging that work has been done, but there is still more to be done.
Yes, there is a certain school that says Gachali Mabaga.
Gachali Mabaga. We shall get there, but let us not lose
the progress.
The progress that has been started.
Okay. Yes. So, and for me, when I see a theme like this, it's just like, let's create an environment practically for women to learn, to thrive without barriers. And I do applaud. Actually, I'm so shocked by these statistics.
Yes.
A whole 50%
for the
in the
judiciary. So we are looking at the judges, we are looking at the registrars and the magistrates.
That's really impressive.
It's impressive.
Okay, so we hear a lot about legal gaps and systemic disadvantages affecting women and girls. So maybe if you can share with us a few examples, or maybe what you have seen, some realities that you have seen or observed.
So when we look at, there are many examples that are given, but when we are having these discussions, one of the areas that we look at, or let me talk about three.
Okay.
They usually arise from marriage, from divorce, and the areas of property. So that is where some of these things, then of course we come into economic empowerment and workplace, but when you look at the dynamics, this is usually where the issues start from.
Yes.
So in the 60s, I think it was around 63 or 64, a commission was set up to look into marriage, divorce, and the status of women.
Yes.
So this commission had 6 members to look into the status of women. Guess how many men were on this commission?
Don't break my heart.
Of the 6 commissioners, 1 was a woman.
No.
So they sat to look into the issues of the women. So we call this the Kalema Commission. Okay. But even if it was just a constitution of men, they really came up with the bedrock on which we now stand. Okay. So during this commission, the issues that were identified and we see that have gone through, one was around the issue of girl-child marriage. Okay. When you look at our marriage acts, we have different acts under the civil marriage, under church marriage. Then now we have another act that deals with Hindu. Then we have another act that deals with Muslim. But around that time, we did not have an act for customary marriages. Okay. So then they said, but these customary marriages, how are they treated? When a man would die, the wife would be inherited. As part of inheritance, you had to be inherited by the customary heir or brother. So that was one of the key issues that they raised was a problem in terms of the status of women. And now we see that there was a reversal in that area. Okay. We also see some of the issues that were raised. So from the Kalema report, we then took on very many other matters that came up. Okay. We came up with laws that now brought us to where we are in the Marriage Act, in the areas of divorce, and in the areas of property. Okay. And what we look at in the gaps is that before, when it came to property, girls were not allowed to inherit property from their fathers. The fathers would give it to the sons. And then as a wife, you've been inherited by the brother of your husband, so still you don't have property. And those are the things that we are seeing are still seeping through today, where most women, when you look at collateral, when we look at schemes that have come up to support economic empowerment, banks are still going to ask for collateral as a form of security. But because of this back thing where women were not owning property, you still see that the percentages of the women who are able to get credit is low. Here at Bank of Uganda, we give the agriculture credit facility. But we have noted that even in that space, we are giving about 20% to women-owned businesses. But these are historical problems, and that's why the theme is saying, let all women, because we still have the 20% who have received, but we still have a long way to go. Then the other area was around the area of succession, that now at least we have a succession act that is making it clear that when a man dies, there's a percentage that is going to go to the wife. His wife. Because before, that was unheard of. The customary heir would take everything. Now the Succession Act is saying, customary heir, you have 1%. The children have 75%. The wife has 20%. Then the rest now is for the dependent relatives. One other area that came up was around the area of education. And it's something where girls were always, education was around boys, and now girls would find themselves that they are not educated. So this is a systemic disadvantage that we are seeing, even today, that because, and one of the areas has been around areas of pregnancies, early child pregnancies. It takes two to get pregnant. But that is it for a girl. The boy continues with the education. So these are the areas that are being looked into to see how they are handled. Before, we used to have the area of divorce, where if a man was divorcing, all he had to prove was adultery. But for the woman, on top of adultery, you had to say, has he also been cruel?
Yeah.
Did he also leave? You could not just go and say that there was adultery.
So?
Yes, and it was in the law. It was in the law that for a man, all you have to prove is adultery. For the woman, you have to add onto that adultery.
Cruelty?
So you have to prove that, yes, either there was cruelty, there was desertion. So these are the things that the laws are coming in to see. But some of these things have been as a result of case law. So we still have on the statute books, we still have some of these practices. Yeah. And that's why if you've heard, right now we have what we call a marriage bill, which started as a domestic relations bill, then it became a marriage and divorce bill. Now it has translated into a marriage bill. They are trying to consolidate all these issues I'm talking about. So that when someone is looking at this area around marriage, they have one source of reference.
Oh, okay. You know, one of the things, Josephine, this conversation, it triggers me.
Why? Why are you
for
triggered?
2 main reasons. I look, me, I was raised, my father really empowered us, the girls in the home. So it's only when I really grew up that I saw the level or the depth of unfairness and the inequality in women. I was raised as if sheltered, and I thought that this was the status quo. I thought we were all treated the same fairly until I got out of this bubble. I entered university, and I started seeing the differences here and there in treatment, fairness. Like, it's just an equal field. But the one thing that always disturbs me is the fact that I always go back financial services, access to financial services.
Yes.
And I learned that it is only, we are celebrating our 50th year of women being allowed to get any financial services without being accepted by the husband. Your husband had to accept and write and say it is okay. He had to sign.
Yes.
And this is 50 years, not in Uganda. This is 50 years in the developed world, in advanced economies. So if this is just coming to light 50 years ago was my mother.
Yes,
she was born. My aunties were born, were alive.
Yes, many people.
People were alive, as in we are with them. They are alive. The victims are alive.
Yes.
So it racks my brain and it shatters my heart to think that my mother, my auntie, walked one day and she had no right or choice over getting access to money, to do anything for herself, without being supported without someone else giving her, accepting her to do it. So I'm just like, what? I'm so thankful for God. I could not have lived in that time. I could not have.
You would have had the grace.
I wouldn't have had that grace. I would have been the Rosa Parks of my generation.
No,
I would have said no, and I would have been shot dead for something. Because what is this? Anyway, but I'm also happy, and that's why I like the fact that it is nice not to focus so much on what was, but more of the progress that has been made. So that makes me a little bit lighter. That Pananga, do you know where we've come from, guys? As in, we're still in the struggle, but it was so much.
And I actually also got to appreciate it because growing up, I saw my mother empowered. Yeah. So also me, I remember when I joined and people would say, oh, feeder. It never used to resonate with me. When people would say, I always say, but women, no, it's not that bad, because that was not my reality. Exactly. My reality was women, when you need to say something, you speak. What is this thing that people say women don't speak? I didn't understand that thing. But now, I now get it. You know, when you get the experience, you understand that you were looking with a lens. Of a different lens. So now you need to be able to see that very many people have not been as lucky as you may have been. And therefore, when you are thinking and making decisions. You need to consider all that.
Okay. So now let's move it to the workplace. So I know many, and I know at the heart of many institutions and workplaces, people want to support women. people want to support their empowerment, but unintentionally, we still maintain some of these barriers. So what would you say are the few areas that you would, if you were to speak to these corporate people in these workspaces, and even let's move beyond corporate, let's move to anybody who is offering any kind of employment in any kind of institution. What are the few areas that you'd tell whoever is in charge to pay more attention to that maybe is not getting the attention that it deserves right now, that is maybe being overlooked?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the things I've seen is that, like you've said, right now we have many policies. Let's even start with the common one. We have a law that says that when a woman is pregnant or gives birth, she's entitled to maternity leave. That is in the law.
Yes.
But many employers are not actually fulfilling this legal requirement, you know? So it's looking at areas around pregnancy. And I think it's that particular area. Women who are in the childbearing age. I have realized that there, especially at the workplace, when someone is pregnant and going for a job interview, they will hide the pregnancy. Because they believe that if I come in and the panel sees me, they're like, how? We cannot give you a position. And then so that the area around making sure that women during childbearing age are given protection. Things to do with pregnancy and understanding that when a woman is pregnant, they are not disabled. They are able. Yes, there are circumstances where people get sick, but the majority, women can do the work. And when you give, so I think that is one area that we really need to look into when we are looking at workplaces. Then there is the area of the flexibility that we need to give women. That if a person is coming back from maternity leave, what flexibility are you allowing them? You have seen that at Bank of Uganda, they introduced a policy of flexi hours, that you are able to now have breastfeeding hours. You decide whether it's early in the morning or later in the evening, in the afternoon after lunch, and then you're able to have this flexibility.
Kudos to Bank of Uganda.
Kudos. That is great, you know. Great. So it is that understanding, and technology has now helped us that people don't actually, for many of the jobs, we can say that some people are required on site, but for many of these jobs, this flexibility is possible, where now you're able to have people work off-site. Then there's when it comes to women and the workplace, there's also the area of promotions. In my culture, we are taught, it's just that, okay, I didn't learn this, that when you're speaking to people, don't look at them directly. You know, as a sign of respect, look down. So then you bring that culture to the workplace, and it can be at your disadvantage. Then also the issue of speaking out. Many women do not speak out. And it's something that I have now later realized that it's usually a common problem. So as at workplaces, these are things that we need to pay attention to. Who are these staff who actually, it may not be your typical leadership skills that you're looking for, but they are good at what they do. And therefore, because of that, how then do you put them in positions? And this comes mainly to supervisors, to mentors, people who are working with young girls. What are those things that you're putting in place to actually call out these people? When it comes to responsibilities, if you're in workplaces, are you allowing these people to have more responsibility? Sometimes you need to be thrown in the deep end. You know, you need to be called and told there is a board meeting. Josephine, go and present. You know, and then you go and realize this is something that I can do. So these are areas that we need to see. Where are the areas that we are pulling out women from the shell that they are, and all giving leverage and giving them an environment within which to thrive.
Actually, you know what? You reminded me of two things. When I went to high school, I started in a certain school. I went to a girls' school. But before I went to that girls' school, I spent a term in one of the mixed top leading traditional schools in this country. And the ratio of girls to boys was 90 to 10%, 10 to 90. So
girls to boys.
Girls to boys, yeah. And I remember when you were in class and you said something, you put up your hand and you said something, the boys would shush you down. And you know, at that age of puberty, adolescence, you're just growing into yourself. You're very vulnerable, and at that period, the brain has entered, I think, the second stage of development. And if your spirits are crushed at that point, that kind of becomes the person you are later. And it is just difficult to unbreak, to unlearn that it's okay. So you're always scared to speak up, to say something. Now, because for me, I had come from a different background. Me, you cannot shush me. You cannot. But I would see, let me say if in the class we were 50, in my class I think we were 50, and the girls were like 8. And in those 8, maybe we were 2 who could speak up for us, who just spoke and didn't care. But you could see a good number. If we were looking at, this is our economy of adults later. If this was the typical 6 and 2 girls, only 2 girls of the 8 were confident and able to speak up and able to, there are other 6. For life, they'll keep quiet. For life. So now they're out of school. Very brilliant girls. They're out of school. They can't, when they go to workplaces, they can't say anything in a meeting. They're the ones who always sit at the back. Because historically, they were told women don't speak up. Women don't talk. If you will, you'll be shushed. That was one. Then I remember another one where, let me give you a very live example. We've done this BoU Connects podcast now for over 1 year. Every time I go to a man and ask him to host, let me tell you, even if he has no sense, he says yes. Immediately. But Josephine, let me tell you, and I've gone to female bosses. They always first say, Pumla. They always second guess themselves. They always question themselves. And I always ask them, do you know that you're big people? You know you're a big woman. How I don't understand. And they would rather even give me someone in their team who is a lesser. Imagine I've gone to an executive director and she's like, Pumla, how, where? How can we? I can go to the person at the bottom. If I go to a man who has just entered Bank of Uganda 2 months ago,
he'll say, this is what we have been doing.
This is what we've been doing. You can even educate me more than someone who has been in the bank for 20 years. So I think all this, you've opened my eyes into thinking, even I go and have women engagements and speak to women a lot. And me, I love women so much. Any opportunity I am asked to speak to women, I go.
You will have.
But in the beginning, it made no sense to me because, again, my reality was different.
It's different.
I was like, why do I have to come and tell you how to speak? Why am I the one building your confidence? So I think a lot of these things, we just have to learn how to unlearn.
How to unlearn them. And actually, you raise an issue that workplaces, it is very critical to have these development programs. There are many development programs that are currently going on targeted for women. It is very critical for workplaces. And I want to applaud Bank of Uganda. Okay, I work here, but really, these are some of the things that we have benefited from, They are programs that they have put a path on. They have identified managers, what leadership skills do you need? There are programs that have been addressed. The women who are at a certain level, what skills do you need? And these programs, they really change you. They change your perception. They give you more grace. Because like you're saying, sometimes you don't understand why someone cannot just do something. But when you receive an email from Pumla, like
Josephine, I want to applaud you also. Thank you for accepting. As soon as I sent the email,
I responded. Do you know why I responded?
Why did you respond?
I went for a development program that told us, you can do it. So after you do it, you say, but Pumla, I keep seeing you on TV. How do you do these things? You first say yes.
First say yes.
Because you can. Especially now I looked at your area. I said, this is my area. But I haven't done podcasts before. Pumla is always on podcasts. So I came to you and told you, how do I do these things? So yes, it is the self-development programs that help. But Pumla, before we leave this point, there's a point I've remembered on pay.
Okay, yes.
Pay.
Yes.
This is one area that many people are talking about, that when salary structures, when people get to see pay slips, they're like, how is the man's... But we do the same job. But first of all, and I think this one is both for the workplace, but also us, the women.
Individuals. That,
first of all, it is that workplaces, like you have said, a man will go and show their worth. So even when a workplace is considering, when they are negotiating, when they are coming in, they tell you, I am the best person that you, without me, you cannot do this job. So at that point, they come with bargaining power to the table. So usually you will see a woman who is actually doing very good job, but it's the negotiation. Then now comes the issue of where the women come in. You people, let us not be afraid of a no. It is something that I have learned. That if someone says, all an employer can say is no.
That's the worst.
That's
the worst thing that can happen is they say no.
So let us be able to negotiate these salaries. Let us negotiate. Because indeed, currently, this pay range, there is a pay range. So unless areas where they have kind of structured the payments, but you will find that in many positions, if you have an ability to negotiate your salary, a man will try to at least negotiate that.
I've had that come a lot from HR panels. And they say, these people, whenever a woman comes and a man comes for the same game, a man is talking a big game and he'll get the salary that he has negotiated for, and you'll come in and say, whatever you can give me. What can you give me? And then we'll tell you what we can give you, and then you'll accept it. And yet we could have given you much more. So I think sometimes some of these things come also with us. Let's unlearn and
let's unlearn and learn better.
So I would say, maybe let's share with institutions and organizations why they should be supporting women empowerment and women's rights within the workplace. So maybe if you can just share with us, how does organizations and institutions, how does their support of women's rights, or fairness and inclusivity in the workplace, how does this build trust and better the organization?
Thank you. Actually, especially for organizations, I find that that's a governance issue. So when you look at one of the key principles is diversity. So for public trust, that how are you bettering your outlook? It is interesting that when a board, when an organization puts up their structure and says, this is our board composition, this is our executive management composition. By just looking at it, there are biases that are formed. If you look at a board and it just has men, there is an implication. Because it means that this board is not looking into diversity. It is not looking into the differences that people bring to the table. And I keep saying that in every meeting, it is always very good when you have people of different skills, of different gender, people who are bringing differences to the same decision. Because by the time then now you make the decision, you have been able to look at it from a different perspective. And it is so interesting when we are seated as legal and we are addressing an issue. More or less, especially if we've worked for some time, we are thinking a certain direction until people from finance come. And they bring something else. But I have seen that dynamic even in men and women looking at the same thing. Chances are high people are going to bring out something that you hadn't thought about. So for public institutions, let us have this at the back of our minds, that when you say this is my executive committee, and this, I just imagine the first time the type of decisions that are coming in, that you're missing a very critical aspect in your decision-making process.
I agree.
But then now it comes in at the point of internally. Because sometimes you have it the men and the women, everything seems glossy.
Yeah.
But inside, is it actually? Now, that is when you look at internally, because you know when you have your stakeholders, you have the ones who are external, but also internal. And one of the, when we were looking at the theme, we said that one of the key areas is justice. And in law, we always say, justice should not only be done, it should be seen to be done.
Oh, okay.
So what that means is that when you come up with a policy and say, we have a policy that supports women, the time you have a woman in that position, are you supporting them? So that is why support, it builds trust. So the next time, even when women see that, oh, so it means that this person went through the process and then they were promoted and they have been empowered. This is something that I can also do. So it builds trust when as an institution, both externally, but also especially for your internal stakeholders, that they need to see that you're being actually intentional. And unfortunately, this is also for supervisors, that there are policies that can be in place, but your supervisor is calling you and saying, where are you? But I'm on maternity leave. You get it? So it is something that we need to work on as a team, as an organization, for people, as women, as supervisors, just making sure that all policies, it is not just that justice has been done, but it has been seen to be done.
Oh, okay. Now I like that. And anyway, I know those supervisors. Where are you? Yet the policy says
I am on maternity leave.
Yes. So let's look at, okay, now let's go beyond, let's go now into the community.
Yeah.
So what are some practical things that the ordinary Ugandans can do to support women and girls in just everyday life, really? Just as walking on the Kampala road, just wherever you exist, in whatever space or community you exist, what can an ordinary Ugandan do to support women and girls?
Women and girls. Now, let me first start with this one, and it is a support, but also for the women. That one of the areas is the area of documentation. I feel like I have to start with this, then we shall look at. So, we have a court case that came out. When we make vows, now this is for, let's start with the married women. When vows are made, it is looked at that you say, what is yours is mine, and what is mine is yours. But then the court said, let us first understand everyone's contribution to this property. So currently, please, I feel like this has to first go out before we talk about how we can help the women. This is first by awareness. Women, let us know that now, when you're contributing, there is documentation. And this is true for both women who are married, but also in relationships where you're working together. What is your contribution? And the courts have gone on to say that it's not only monetary. It can also be non-monetary. So when our relationship is good, can we talk about, in employment, they gave us what? Annual appraisal.
Yes.
Where you annually appraise and say, what has been your contribution this year to our strategic direction for the last 5 years? So let us have these conversations in our homes. That what was my contribution this year? And this thing is for both men and women. Although we are talking about women, but it's in context. That even sometimes it is the men who are contributing. Document your contribution. So I felt I needed to talk about that. But there is now the partners. Like we've talked about men and women. We are in a partnership. One of the key issues that comes out very strongly, especially women who are at work, is the issue of support, having support. That when I'm going back home, do I have the support of the person I find home? It is very important. I keep telling people, there was a period of my life when my husband went away for 3 months. Pumla.
Josephine, I thought you were going to say 3 years.
No, 3 months. Were 3 months.
What happened in that 3 months?
my world just tumbled.
Collapsed.
Because that is when I realized the support system. You know how you keep saying, I have a support system.
Yeah.
But there's a song that says you'll never understand the sun until it starts to snow.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you now
when you
realize,
understand, yeah.
I love the sun. So during that absence, that's when I noticed how much that support helps you to grow.
Yeah.
So people in relationships, let's support each other. Let your absence be felt.
Yeah.
Because really you can go and our life continues. I was the one
Business
picking the
as usual.
children anyway.
Yeah.
I was the one coming home. So
No
it is
value
the same.
addition.
So as partners, let us work together.
Yeah.
Then I look at the situations of workplace as mentors.
Yeah.
And I feel that is one area that in supporting women, I talked about it even when we talked about the workplace, but I feel it is very important that when you are supporting a woman, if you are a mentor, first of all, by just being in whatever position you are. You're mentoring people, positively or negatively. There are people who are like, that boss, I don't know. But then there are others who say, because that person is there, I am at least. So let us be those people, number one, but also actively taking steps. When I joined the bank so many years ago, I demonstrated that I would be someone who can be trusted and work. So then when my boss would be going for meetings, they would take me along. And I learned a lot. And it is something that I keep telling people. When you go for meetings, take people along. Because people then understand the dynamics. When you're not in these meetings, sometimes you're like, why did people make these decisions? Why? But the more you attend meetings, the more you realize. And with time, she then would tell me, when we go for the meetings, contribute. Do not go and just sit back. But by that time, you have to first prove that when I contribute, I won't be saying.
It will be sense.
You know? So now when we go, don't just go and sit. You will go and contribute. So it's things like this that we can actively do to support. Then now I turn to the parents. We have a role to play for the girls.
For sure.
And the first one is for us as mothers to just be the role models. Because we usually tell children, and some of us who have given birth to our doubles, they are the ones who call out our inconsistencies sometimes when we say something and are doing something else. They will tell it to you, but mommy, you said we do not. So it is that, can we be the role models? Because children, and most of us even into adulthood, we realize that many of the things that we are doing, that's what we saw, that's growing what we knew, and that's therefore what we thought had to be done. Then secondly, it's just that there are programs that have come up for girls. There are girl mentorship programs all over town. So because this is a podcast, let me just say they are there. So let us do the research. Let us find programs that we can trust our girls in and talk about and put them in these programs so that they are then given the tools they are going to need to navigate this environment. And then again, as parents, it's just the positive thinking. For girls, you tell them you are good. You show them that you're proud of them. Those are the things that a child takes with them. Some people are how they are because of those words. Yes. So as parents, let us check ourselves. It's not that we are perfect. We find ourselves, then you're like, okay, but let it be that as much as possible, we try. Then now it's about the women empowerment. It's something that I think about for women, just being intentional about programs that are for women. If we find women on the street, and for me, I think it's something that I look out a lot, that when I find a woman carrying something, let's buy these things. And let's not negotiate.
You know, I do the same.
Let's not negotiate. Honestly. Even if sometimes you're like, but this thing, it was said day. But why not? Just buy at the price that the person is giving you. This is money that
you're
you
negotiating
can afford
from
to.
a car.
No,
Someone comes to your window
and
you're
they
like,
tell
you the avocado is for Lukuma and say, hey, you're in a car, you put fuel over 100K and you're bargaining for 2K.
Thank you. So let's just buy the things. Let's just buy. And then there's the issue that is very important. That mentioning people in rooms that they are not. For all Ugandans, when opportunities come up, mention people, mention women, mention the activities, because for some of these things, people are not going to go out seeking them, but when they are called out, that is what helps them. So let us mention women in places that they are not. Let us say, I have someone who can do this for you. They will usually call that sponsorship, to be able to have people who. And lastly, maybe what I can think about is give people their flowers. While they are still here. It's something that everyone has talked about, but as women, and it's something because usually it's not even, most times it is not that the women are not able to, but that they need the reminder that they are able to. So when someone is doing something, or when you see potential in someone, tell them. Because you don't know what they are thinking, you don't know what inhibitions they are trying to break through. So tell people when they are doing something right. Let us do that.
And that
when
I
you
really
find
do
Pumla,
appreciate it.
you tell her the good thing she's doing with the podcast, because you are, and it's something that I keep telling you. But it really is.
It is, and you don't realize how much more you can push forward when you have that fuel of people actually telling you, and not even always praising you, maybe giving some constructive feedback and showing you how to improve, maybe how to be giving you ideas
how
to do
by the way,
better. Have you thought about this?
Exactly.
Some people can bring things as just to criticize you, tell you this, that, then they even dim your light instead of. But I've when I hear women talk about, women are catty, women tevagaliza, they can't gossip behind. I think some of these things we need to. These are we need to demystify it. I don't think it's right. I think people just really like to elevate badness. So badness is seen, even if it's happening 3%, it seems louder. Generally. They say that is what women do. But me, I know I have surrounded myself with great women, with good women, with supportive women. So I can't even, when I hear people saying that women backbite, they talk about each other, they gossip, I'm like, which women are you surrounding yourself with? Who are those who you chose to surround yourself with?
And sometimes they say, what energy are you pulling?
What energy are you attracting? That you'll find yourself the one always in that room.
Who has
negative people around
then you. Really.
Then let's discuss you. Let's discuss you.
That is a question.
So
and
as we close,
for thought.
As we close, can you share maybe your final thoughts and parting, shots to the women and girls who are listening to us today?
So in closing, it's that when we talk about the subject of women and their status in society, people usually look at, this is not fair, life is not fair. And I find that is an accurate thing. But sometimes it's in your favor. Even you, sometimes you have gotten your opportunity because life is not fair. So now you look at that and make it work for you. That who am I? And that is one thing, that know who you are. Who are you at the end of the day? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how can you leverage that to now make you a better person? Look, we talk about the issues of delegation. We talk about the issues of hard work. We talk about the issues of surround yourself with women and family and friends that build you up. But at the end of the day, the work is with you. Know who you are and then work towards making yourself better. Thank you.
I like that. Thank you so much, Josephine. One of the things that I love men for, because I know there are more men for women than against women.
Yes.
And I know you shared with us at the beginning of the show about how it was 6, they were in a group of 6.
Yes.
It's 5 men were making decisions, and they were making positive decisions and good decisions that have forever altered the trajectory of how women are being treated in society. So mine would also be about collective responsibility and always urging men that we don't want to come to take your jobs. We are not fighting for empowerment because we want to kick you out of the house. We want to make our own money so that you don't tell us anything to do. It's just that when you have empowered women in society, you have a better society. And that's just it. More empowered women raising empowered children is just better, all better for the society. So thank you so much, Josephine, for sharing these insights. These are conversations that we will continue to have and we'll keep having. And yeah, thank you for coming. This has been fantastic. This has been fantastic. Thank you, Josephine.
Thank you so much, Pumla.
And to you, our viewers, and everybody listening to us today, thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, please remember to like, comment, and share it with a friend. And also don't forget to subscribe to the Bank of Uganda YouTube channel to have more of these insightful conversations coming. So until the next time that BoU Connects, Happy Women's Month.